Hello, Business 630. This is Professor Hassey. It's week number 5 introduction video for our week of September 20th through 26th, capital budgeting risk analysis. Our second week of studying capital budgeting. We pick up with chapters 10 and 11 specifically. Before we get into that, we'll review one more time case number 1, our risk reward, which leads to capital investment. What is the risk and credit status of a company? That leads us into the investment in an asset, which we looked at last week in our in-class or lecture review of that problem. Investment return analysis, trying to determine weighted average cost of capital, trying to determine cash project cash flow, and then putting that into a capital budgeting analysis to determine net present value, internal rate of return, profitability index, and payback. This week, we're going to go a step further with that analysis and talk about risk analysis from chapter 11, sensitivity and scenario analysis. That'll be our topics of our class lecture this Monday, September 2020, excuse me. Also, we're going to talk about an electrics case checklist, which I have posted to Blackboard, which is a series of tasks you need to find and complete in order to complete that group case. And I have already posted, as of today, September 19th, a case number 2, which is a spreadsheet format, only spreadsheet format, where you are to put together a capital budget analysis for a given company. And I will look at that in just a minute. Next week, we're going to talk about financial statement analysis and forecasting capital requirements as we conclude this week capital budgeting, and we're going to be covering chapters 3 and 12. Okay, a couple of things to note in your Blackboard as we head into our week number 5. Capital budgeting risk analysis is number 1. Make sure you see case number 2, which has now been posted to Blackboard. I give you a PDF and a Word doc version, and I give you a rubric of how I'll be assessing and grading that work. Remember, this is in a spreadsheet format. If you submit something other than a spreadsheet, 0. If you submit a PDF file, which is a picture of a spreadsheet, 0. I need to see your spreadsheet file, either in Excel or numbers, which show the calculations and the formulas in those cells. You can use as an example the case template or the capital budgeting template that we looked at in our week number 4 lecture. So before you actually look at this introduction video, if you have yet to read or listen to the week number 4 lecture video, I suggest you do that before you listen to this introduction video. Also, if you go to the electrics case file folder, excuse me, where is it? Just a sec. You'll see now a variety of new things in the electrics case. One thing is you'll see excuse me, let me bring that up. And it's in week number 5, excuse me. Week number 5, you'll see a checklist for the electrics case. It's a series of things you need to accomplish in their order that you need to do them. Starting off with a weighted average cost of capital calculation right through the risk analysis of scenario and sensitivity. So these are a checklist. We'll be reviewing these in our class lecture for week number 5. Also in week number 5 file folder is our agenda for tonight, which you've already seen. And this file, which is a continuation of the file that we worked on last week in week 4, we're going to be picking up with this in our lecture video for week number 5. And here is that file folder here. Again, if you have not seen that week number 4 lecture video, I suggest you watch that first so you don't get confused. But as we talked about in week number 4, we defined the cost of capital in the spreadsheet. Then we took a look at what capital budgeting process is and the series of steps it takes to do that. Then we learned how to calculate the weighted average cost of capital by determining the capital structure and weighting that capital structure by the after-tax cost of debt and the cost of equity, which was determined by the capital asset pricing model. We then took this as our discount rate in a capital budgeting analysis case or example, where a $1 million investment is going to produce a return over a depreciable life of 10 years. And we determined the return analysis in dollars, percentage, ratio, and time. This is what you'll be doing in case number 2, this exact same process. The numbers are different, the years are different, but the general format and what you need to do is the same. So if you have never done this before, you can use that template from that week number 4, this template here. It's also located in week number 5, Blackboard, as your template to do that. But make sure if you take a template, you have to adapt it to that particular case. So make sure you do that completely before you submit your case number 2 analysis of that particular situation. And here is case number 2. I'm going to go over this. Case number 2 is a capital budget analysis, where you'll be given a series of inputs, and your sole job is to determine the return analysis, net present value, internal rate of return, profitability, and payback of this project. So you'll have to put together what we just did in week number 4 of putting together these projects, this project information, determine the cost of capital with this information, determine the yearly cash flow, using the investment in year 0 of $700,000. The project's life is 7 years, depreciating $100,000 a year with a salvage value of $55,000, a working capital base of 8% of revenue, inflation rate for selling price 2%, inflation rate for manufacturing costs, or another word for variable cost, 1.5%, inflation rate for fixed cost, 1.5%. A project tax rate of 20%, 40,000 units sold each year at a selling price of $45 a unit, fixed costs of $75,000, and variable manufacturing costs of $35,000 a unit. Put all those together and determine those for a return analysis, and you have to just answer one question on your spreadsheet. Would you recommend this as a capital investment? Yes or no? That's the only writing you have to do on this as far as interpretation is a yes or a no. Would you recommend this project based on your analysis as a recommendation for a capital investment? So you're going to be putting this into a spreadsheet and then submitting that spreadsheet by next Sunday, September 26th at midnight. We'll be reviewing this again in our class lecture this week. So if you did not fully understand week 4, we're going to be going over it again in week 5. And that will be, lecture will be posted Monday evening, the 20th. Okay, there's case number 2 up and running, representing 15% of your course grade. So a lot of information, a lot of things to be concerned about. We're now doing case number 2 this next week. We're at the same time beginning our work on the electrics case. I hope you have been in contact with your teammates and beginning to allocate that information. And I'll be going around the students in our course this week, sending random emails to each team, making sure you have everything organized and if you need any help. So look for those emails being sent out during the course of this upcoming week number 5 from me to your specific teams and the specific team members, making sure you have any issues or any questions. So that's our study this week, risk analysis in the capital budgeting process, case number 2, and we continue our work with the electrics case. Look forward to working with you this coming week. Any questions, you know where to find me, and look for our lecture video towards the end of the day on Monday, September 20th. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. Bye-bye.